I'm going to introduce two people, one from Nigeria and one from the Philippines. Oyewole Akande trained as a lawyer, and he works now in Nigeria on key accounts with Maersk, the big trucking and shipping company. Completely coincidentally, so does the second speaker I'll introduce, Marianne Robles. Oyewole is fairly hardcore about corruption, which you would expect when he comes from a country that is a byword for corruption, when the systems from top to bottom tend to be terminally corrupt, where a city, one of the giant cities of this century, Lagos, regularly experiences blackouts in a country that exports 30% of the required needs of America for its oil, or China's 33%. It's a disgrace. There are some people in Nigeria working to improve that. He's one of them. He works in a faith-based NGO to improve transparency, but mainly he works in the prisons where people are wrongly imprisoned, and due to faults in the justice system and corruption in the courts, he gets them out. It's an incredible thing that he does. Marianne Robles, again, you could talk about the corruption in many states, but again, the Philippines unfortunately would come top of the list. Transparency is a singularly important aspect of integrity and opening the opaque worlds of business and government to the people of a country, especially poor countries who need to know where the budget has been spent, what's allocated from different industries towards the government, who's taking it and who's not putting it back out. Marianne Robles also works for Maersk in the process improvement sector. She sees the contracts coming and going. They know what they're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome these two from Nigeria and the Philippines.
Good afternoon, councillors. Good afternoon, fellow delegates. Mabuhay, as we say it in Philippines. Since I lay down my eyes on the multitude of young, talented, diverse game changers in the society here in the summit, I wonder, how can anyone be uninspired to make that step in making that change? Positive change it is. And if that's not exciting enough, I am here today, right in front of you, making my voice heard and sharing this great opportunity with my colleague Oyewole, who shares the same passion and drive to change, and that is to reinforce transparency. It is truly a privilege for both of us to be standing in front of such an esteemed audience. It reminds us that despite the levels of corruptions that we have in our countries, with the amount of young leaders right in front of us, every one of you symbolizes hope. There is hope.
Let us start by telling you the story of my father. Fresh from university, he joined the civil service of the federal government of Nigeria. After 25 years of a good service, he was made the boss of an agency in charge of incubating startups. When he asked for the budget for his agency, the minister in charge asked him to pay 30% of the budget into his personal account. He refused, was dismissed with immediate effect, arrested on trumped-up charges of stealing his own furniture. For 6 years, my childhood was blighted as we struggled on my mother's income until an administrative tribunal overturned the decision. This kind of stories are sadly too common in the Philippines than in Nigeria. But if you look beneath, there's something deeper than the story of corruption. It's the story of people who are standing up for the values they believe in. It's the story of people who are refusing to accept the status quo. It's the story of people like you, young leaders here, who say they are fundamental human values across all nations and our culture. No matter where we live, no matter the circumstances, corruption is wrong. We believe that all people share the same fundamental human values, the values of honesty, of integrity, of selflessness, of a good name. These values are universal values. The two of us are blessed to work in a company, the APMX Group, that regardless of wherever we do business in the world, we are committed to fighting corruption. We invest in educating people about the dangers of corruption. We also work with our partners in pushing back when we have to. An example in Nigeria is where we are working with some of our biggest multinational clients to push back government officials who ask for an incentive to do their jobs. We handle cargo importation into Nigeria for some of the largest global multinationals. You see, custom officials have a trick to play. When you submit your document, they suddenly become busy. They can remain busy for a week, sometimes even a month. In a country where it costs over $100 per container per day to store your containers, it's an easy economic decision to pay and move on. However, beginning in June this month, in conjunction with some of our global multinational clients, we started to push back. It will surprise you, we were able to clear through custom for the first time without paying anything. Yes, we paid far more in storage charges, but we stood up for what we believed in. We challenged the mindset. We ask that you join us in your own personal way in challenging the mindset wherever you work.
In our personal lives, Oyewole and myself, despite the fact that we live in two different countries, we share the same goal. And we strongly believe that every one of us, it's not just the youth, everyone of this generation must be in the forefront in leading the fight against corruption. And that is why for the last 2 years, through the network that I have built together with my previous teachers and professors in the state universities and colleges in Philippines, I was able to speak, share discussions and awareness to almost 1,000 students from the Philippines in order to bring awareness and also help them understand how in their simple ways they can contribute in making transparency a need for our community. Having been able to be engaged in programs of local cooperative that help reinforce the need to be transparent by increasing process visibility, contact persons, and simple what to whom are just practical ways that help improve not only the level of integrity that we build in the communities, but also increase the profit by getting more cooperatives that will help revolve the fund in the communities. This is something that's not rocket science. In fact, this is something that we can all do in our communities, in our countries. So, what is the next step for Oyewole and myself after the summit? In Nigeria, Oyewole will continue engaging the government officials in a more positive manner. It is right for us to demand that we not be made to pay for services that we are supposed to be getting free. However, it is just proper for all of us to realize that as multinationals, we must be partners in development. We have a role to play to provide support and services on an equal basis to the community that we work in. Some of the initial ideas that have come up from our discussions include providing a bus shuttle service to make transportation easier for government officials and others going to work in the port terminals. In Philippines, I am committed to continuing my volunteer work with an innovative service called SMS or text brigades, the Citizen Watch Patrollers, where everyone in the community can use the technology in order to report corruption activities to a local community. It's a simple structure which will help increase accountability and as simple as also sharing awareness as to how process visual controls can help fight the damaging effects of corruption. I am a process improvement practitioner, and as an old improvement philosophy would say, the driving force behind any improvement is dissatisfaction with the status quo. Now is the time for us to accept that challenge. No longer be contented with the status quo. The change must start from within ourselves, and we must be able to tap our skills and capabilities to start making that change to the areas under our influence. Oyewole and myself are leaving this podium with smiles on our faces because we know that with all of you guys here in the summit and with the network of One Young World behind us, we know certainly without any doubt that there's hope not only for Philippines and Nigeria, but there's hope all over the world. The promised land, free of corruption, starts today. Thank you very much.